Alright, because I know that these ball babies will cry about all kinds of stuff. They have all kinds of excuses. Um, they'll say that this boat is being refracted up, but in all reality, I've seen more proof of downward refraction than I have of upward refraction. This magical force pulling things down or up is what we've been taught. But when you go out in reality and start visually observing the downward refraction, usually it comes when things are being mirrored or miraged, and it actually will pull itself down into its own reflection. Um, the same thing occurs out over the water when the mirroring is bad. But again, when you have great visibility, you can see things that you normally will not see. Now, look, you can see these people in the back of the boat. And then when you compare these people to the birds, a crab trap, like this crab trap right here, for instance, look at the size. Now you can tell, obviously, that boat is a hell of a lot farther from it. Now, I'm not going to say that I know exactly where this boat is, but due to all these markers out there, I have a good idea of the distances that I'm looking. Only because, again, I'm very familiar with the water. Fished it for over 25 years. Sound like a broken record saying that. But it is true. These are my stomping grounds. These are my fishing grounds. And I know Billy Steele's rack is approximately 7.78 miles from Bayport. I'm 2 extra miles north of Bayport. So I'm giving it about, I'm just going to say about 9 miles. And, this boat is coming farther from the south. So he's coming up toward, he's actually working his way toward that channel for going into Hernando Beach. Now, he's fairly close to this bird rack. I'm not going to say he's right on it. He's definitely not behind it. He's in front of it. But you can actually, too, start seeing the wake that this boat is making. And, that's something else, too. Again, like I explained in my last video, it has a lot to do with it. But the bird rack is at least 9 miles from my location. And my camera height is approximately, let's just say, 4 feet. I think I'm, giving it a little extra footage. But again, just doing some comparisons. It's like, trying to resolve a razor blade at the end of a 10-foot table, from a low perspective. You might not even be able to see it at all. I've never tried it. Maybe I should put a razor blade at the end of a table and see if I can zoom in on its edge with my zoom camera. Even at a close distance, I think I'd have a hard time resolving that edge. And then here you got this boat hauling ass. He's got to be at least 6 miles from me, coming out of the Hernando Beach Channel. And he's going away, or actually he's going away from the land, but he's kind of coming toward me in a sense. Even though he's kind of leading the way. That's what's depth perception is something too. It's hard to, when you're out on the water and look and compare that boat to that boat. Now that big ass boat in the rear, farther back there, is miles from that little boat right there. Miles from it. But the depth perception can be really deceiving when you're out boating on the water. That's why you really do got to be careful, especially when you're getting towards nighttime and you're hauling ass. You got to make sure that you know where you're at, because otherwise you could wind up on land, you could wind up on rocks, and being out there in the water, you hit a rock going that speed right there, you're in big trouble. Now you'll start seeing that boat turn toward me, and when he turns towards me, it gives you a whole different perspective of the boat. But here obviously you can see the wakes of this boat splashing in the water. But let me tell you, I've videotaped hundreds, if not thousands, of these types of boats, and many times this boat would be cut off, and all you would see is the top of the boat. And I've actually put out videos with boats this size that appeared to be cut off due to the curvature of Earth, but they're not, because here I go out on another day and get good visibility, and I can see the entire boat in the water. What's up with that? Well, I tell you what's up with it. We can see better. We don't have all the light. I mean, diffracting off the water, or I always like to say it's just reflecting off the water. Keep it plain and simple. When light reflects off the water, it blinds you, and there's a portion of that water you won't see. Now, is that occurring right now? Yes, farther behind the boat. You don't see that water only because it's defined in this very, very thin slice of water. And that's why you can see boats that just go out on that same line of water just get smaller and smaller and smaller, because that's miles within that little tiny sliver that you see, due to what? Angular, or angle to the water, or angle to even a tabletop. You won't be able to see that very edge as well, the lower you get to the table. In other words, if I stood up all the way and looked down upon the table, I could see the whole table. But then when I get down even and level with the table, that top surface becomes a tiny little sliver. Well, you got the same thing occurring out here on the water, is that last part out there is miles and miles long. And then you also see this little kind of like a white line above the visible water line. Well, there's more water within that. It's just that, see how the light's reflecting off the water? That's causing you not to see the water that's beyond. And in the right circumstances, the right visibility, the right lighting, I have even filmed and posted that too. But again, all I get is a bunch of slack from the crybabies, the ball babies, and the paid trolls to come on my channel to try to deter people and turn people away from even looking into it. Again, I've got more proof coming, and I decided to make these little clips instead of one big long one, just so people aren't bored with them. All right, thanks a lot for watching. Like, subscribe, and share.